Hello, my name is Anna Ståhl and I'm from Research Institutes of Sweden. I will present the pictorial and annotated design process of the pelvic chair. This is work done together with Madeline Balaam, Mai Felicis Jolfi and Irene Kaklopoulos, all from Royal Institute of Technology in Sweden. In this pictorial, an annotated Soma design process of the pelvic chair is presented. The pelvic chair aims at increased awareness around the pelvis and pelvic floor area. The detailed process shows how the pelvic floor itself is used to make somatic design judgments. The contribution here is twofold. First, it illustrates somatic design judgments made in Soma design for designing touch experiences. Second, the pictorial articulates a rarely explored design space in human-computer interaction, the intimate area of the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor is a group of muscles that hold up our inner organs. When not functioning, it can cause incontinence, involuntary flatulence, and sexual dysfunction, and a secondary effect of this is depression and anxiety. The pelvic chair consists of 7 latex pockets in different sizes, which are inflated and deflated and create an awareness of different parts of the pelvis and the pelvic floor. It uses soft robotics that will interact directly with the pelvic floor through dynamic movements that create a careful, subtle interaction. I will now read a usage scenario of the pelvic floor, where you can imagine you sit down on the pelvic chair. You take some deep breaths, and you're ready to start a session. The area behind your bottom starts touching you gently. At the beginning, you're not sure if there is a movement, but after a while it gets clearer. The foam pad embraces you. It pushes you to tilt your pelvis forward so you rest on your pelvic floor. Your spine follows the movement and your posture gets more upright. The touch embracing your bottom stays there as a support. The 2 front shapes start to fill with air, which draw your attention to a touch on the inner side of your thighs. The movement in the shapes gently make you open up your legs a little bit. If you push back, the shapes follow, a playful negotiation to decide the angle between legs and pelvis. It stops and there is stillness. Next, a subtle, slow and indirect movements start touching the area underneath your pelvic floor and your sitting bones. At first, it is gentle, but it increases in strength and lifts your whole pelvic floor. You can feel the tension, as if it was your pelvic floor that was tensing up. Just about to become uncomfortable, the air gets released and your pelvic floor sinks with the movement. A strong sense of relaxation comes in. The exercise now splits into finer details until the area behind you starts releasing its embracement of your pelvis. And that is the end of the session. Afterwards, you find yourself wondering, was it only the chair touching me or was I actually moving with it? A strong awareness of the pelvic floor lingers, and you notice how much you actually take support from this body part in your daily life. The pelvic chair was designed with the Soma design approach, which is a way of designing with new digital materials that can then shape interactions that engage with users' aesthetic experiences and ways of being in the world. In here we show how a combination of somatic and material explorations drive the design process of the pelvic chair forward. It shows how the process departs from somatic experiences centered on the pelvic area, which opens the design space through the construction of experiential qualities, exploring material affordances. Here the pelvic floor itself is used to make somatic design judgments in an iterative process until the experience that can carry the guiding qualities are found. So how did we go about? The design team invited a physiotherapist specialized in Feldenkrais exercises for the pelvis and pelvic floor. She facilitated 4 exercises that were 1 hour each and a lecture on the anatomy of the pelvic area. This became the grounding experience to design for the pelvis. These exercises revolved around how breathing is connected to the pelvic floor, the different parts of the pelvic floor, the sitting bones, and how the pelvic floor connects to the rest of the body. To articulate our experiences, we used body maps that were completed before and after each Feldenkrais exercise. The body maps were used for reflection, documentation, discussion, and idea generation purposes. When we moved on to the construction of experiential qualities, in discussions, the team sorted the experience into themes. It was not only the most common experiences by many that were seen as interesting, also those only experienced by a few, but that were particularly remarkable or strong, where others could see the potential interest for in a design, were constructed into experiential qualities. These qualities became the foundation for which experience the pelvic chair should hold. And they were differentiation of the pelvic floor, the experience of unitedness, connectedness, and relaxational power. To get to a point where experiential qualities are attained in the interaction with the prototype, attention must be paid to underlying requirements. The design team considered a shape that would allow for the creation of an interaction where the pelvic floor could be touched, and where the person being touched could be relaxed, comfortable, and feel safe. Fast and dirty mock-ups of wearables, squares to sit on, and boards on the floor led into the direction of a stool. And to make most contact with the pelvic floor, a hybrid of a saddle-like stool was developed, and then became the pelvic chair. We moved on to starting to explore how to touch the pelvic floor. Modalities that drew attention to the pelvic floor were explored through somatic design judgments, with a focus on their potential to bring the desired experiential qualities forward. The flexible character of latex was found promising, as well as how air embraces the organic surfaces of the body. This led to iterative fabrication processes of bespoke latex shapes. This fabrication process of these bespoke air pockets in latex was iterated with the aim of supporting the experiential qualities. Every new iteration was guided by these qualities and judged somatically by the design team using their pelvic floors. You can zoom in and read about all these in the paper, but here we will take a closer look at one of the examples. So, for the experiential quality of relaxational power, we iterated through several shapes to make the latex pocket follow the organic shape of the body. To make the experience feel like a tension and relaxation of the whole pelvic floor area and not pointing to any specific part, we played with layers of foam to make it into an experience that indirectly touched the whole area of the pelvic floor. The current solution, inspired by hydraulics, uses syringes controlled by linear actuators to push air around in a closed system. The temporality of inflation and deflation is crucial to obtain a nuanced touch. Touches must be orchestrated into full experiences of different length and intensity, evoking the desired experiential qualities and scaffolding the interaction that lead to awareness. So, the dynamic touch of relaxational power, as you see here in the slide, looks completely different from the one of connectedness. The one of connectedness is a more sustained pressure or movement towards the pelvic floor. So, towards designing for touch, we bring forward knowledge on how the layers of materials, the areas of the chair touching the body, the shapes of the air pockets, their volume, and how they inflate or deflate over time, all affect the experienced touch of the pelvic floor area. Working with somatic design judgments can be difficult because it may require engaging with parts of our somas, which we do not often use for judgments, such as the pelvic floor. Like any skill, it needs practice. This somatic approach to design judgments creates challenges for the design community, and here we have the opportunity to create novel ways of sharing formats as well as new curriculum for our students.